Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
So, today appears to be Wednesday, April 17th. The laws of nature haven't significantly changed overnight. 2024 for posterity. If you're watching this hundreds of years in the future, it is now 2024. So, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 2, text 22. So today is 2222. So if you are a numerologist, then that will be significant for you. Okay. So this verse is Yadi Prayasyan. Yadi Prayasyan Nripa Parameshtyam Vaihayasanam with the Jad Viharam Ashtadi Patyam Gunasannivaye Sahaiva Gachain Manasendriyais Chala. So let's look at how Prabhupada translates this and then we'll chant it so we have an idea of what we're chanting. Yadi means if, or how Prabhupada translates it, however, prayasyan, maintaining a desire. It actually means, anyway, person is about to depart this world. Nripa, O king, Parameshyan, the governing planet of the material world. Vaihayasanam, of the beings known as Vaihayas, as Uttara said, Jet, what is Viharam, a place of enjoyment. Ashta Adipatya, lording it over with eightfold achievements, Guna Sannivaye, in the world of three modes of nature. Saha, along with Eva Gachet, one should go Manasa, accompanied by the mind, Indriya, and the senses also. So let's read the translation, and then we'll look at each word and see, and then we'll chant it. So Prabhupada translates this as, however, O king, if a yogi maintains a desire for improved material enjoyments by transference to the topmost planet, Brahmaloka, or the achievement of the eightfold perfections, travel in outer space with the Vaihayasas, or a situation in one of the millions of planets, then he has to take away with him the materially molded mind and senses. So, yadi prayasyan, which means if he will be going to, Nripa Parameshtyam. And this comes, of course, from Parameshta. Parameshta means like that which is most desired. And so here, and from Parameshta, Parameshtyam, the place where the highest desires are fulfilled in the material world. So Prabhupada translates it the governing planet of the material world. Vaihayasanam utajad viharam. And so vihara, the enjoyments, like Krishna's called Vraja Vihari. You know Vraja Vihari, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so Vihari means one who has pleasure, one who takes pleasure from Vihara. And so, for example, Krishna is the enjoyer of Vraja, so he's called Vraja Vihari. So here the word is used in a material sense, Yad Viharam. So the pleasures, the enjoyments of the Vaihayasas, who travel through space, Ashta Adipatyam. Pati means a lord or master, and Adipati literally means an overlord. An overlord, Adipati. So Adipatyam means overlordship. So the 8 overlordships, which as Prabhupada translates, the eightfold achievements or mystic powers. So guna sannivaye, in the world of three modes of nature, sahaiva, indeed with all that, Gachain, one can go manasa indriyasha, with the mind and senses. So the idea here, as Prabhupada says, I'll read the translation again, you'll see how this all fits together. However, O king, if a yogi maintains a desire for improved material enjoyment, which is sort of a non-literal translation, prayasya and paramation, if one will be going to the place where the supreme desirables are available in the material sense, Vaihaya sanam utajadviharam, or pleasure, when we go into enjoyment with the Vaihayasas, then Astadipatyam, the the eight overlordships or powers, where you can literally have power over nature. So that's the adi there. Astadipatyam gunasannivaye, the world of three modes of nature. Then uh, one must go together. Saha eva. Saha means with, and eva means emphatically that one must go with the material mind and senses. In other words, one is not liberated. Sahaiva, one indeed must go with the material mind and 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 must function through material senses. So there's no liberation because someone wants the parameshyam, the world of the highest desirables. So we'll chant this now. Yadi prayasyan ripa parameshyam. Yadi prayasyan
Nripa Parameshyam.
Yadi prayasyan ripa parameshyam.
Yadi Prayasyan Nripa Parameshyam.
Vaihayasana mutajadviharam.
Vaihayasana Mutaya Viharam.
Vaihayasana mutajadviharam.
Vaihayasana Mutaya Viharam.
Ashtadipatyam gunasannivaye.
Adi Patai Nasandivaye.
Ashtadipatyam gunasannivaye.
Adi Patyam Gunasanivaye.
Saiva gachain manasendriyaischa.
Manashendriyashcha.
So I was just thinking, someone have to be really, really an illusion to want to take your material mind and senses with you, isn't it? I mean, look at all we've gone through with the material mind and senses. I mean, who in their right mind want to take it with them? It's like, oh, I'm going on a trip. Okay, I think I'll pack my all my diseases with me. So this is Prabhupada's purport. In the upper status of the planetary systems, there are facilities thousands and thousands of times greater for material enjoyments than in the lower planetary systems. The topmost planetary system consists of planets like Brahmaloka and Dhruvaloka, the pole star, and all of them are situated beyond Maharloka. The inhabitants of those planets are empowered with eightfold achievements of mystic perfection. They do not have to learn and practice the mystic processes of yoga perfection and achieve the power of becoming small like a particle, anima, siddhi. Uh, this is, of course, from the word anu, A-N with a dot under it, and U, which means like the smallest particle, an atom. So from anu, you get anima, being like becoming atomic, like a Marvel character, Atom Man or something. So animosity, or lighter than a soft feather, lagima, because lagu means light. So from the word lagu, light. Lagu is the opposite of guru. Guru means heavy, lagu means light. So from the word lagu, you get lagima, siddhi, the perfection of lightness. They do not have to get anything. They do not have to get anything and everything from anywhere and everywhere. Prapti siddhi. In other words, you don't have to go there to get it. Prapti, which means achieving or acquiring, to become heavier than the heaviest, Mahima Siddhi, from the Maha, of course, to act freely, even to create something wonderful or to annihilate anything at all, Ishitva Siddhi, which means lordship, perfection, from the word Isha, to control all material elements, Vashi Twa Siddhi, from the word Vasha, control, but she thought that to possess such power as will never be frustrated in any desire, prakamya siddhi, or to assume any shape or form one may even whimsically desire, uh, kamava saita siddhi. All these expediencies are as common as natural gifts for the inhabitants of those higher planets. They do not require any mechanical help to travel in outer space, and they can move and travel as at will from one planet to any other planet within no time. The inhabitants of the Earth cannot move even to the nearest planet except by mechanical vehicles like spacecraft, but the highly talented inhabitants of such higher planets can do everything very easily. Since a materialist is generally inquisitive to experience what is actually in such planetary systems, he wants to see everything personally. As inquisitive persons tour all over the world to gain direct local experience, the less intelligent transcendentalist simply desires to have some experience of those planets about which he has heard so many wonderful things. The yogi can, however, easily fulfill his desire by going there with the present materialistic mind and senses. The prime inclination of the materialistic mind is to lord it over the material world, and all the cities mentioned above are features of domination over the world. The devotees of the Lord are not ambitious to dominate a false and temporary phenomenon. On the contrary, a devotee wants to be dominated by the supreme predominator, the Lord. A desire to serve the Lord, the supreme predominator, is spiritual or transcendental, and one has to attain this perfection of the mind and the senses to get admission into the spiritual kingdom. With a materialistic mind, one can reach the best planet in the universe, but no one can enter into the kingdom of God uh, with such a materialistic mind. Senses are called spiritually purified when they are not involved in sense gratification. Some senses require engagements, and when the senses are engaged totally in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, they have no chance to become contaminated by material infections. Prabhupada Gita.
Yeah.
So, Prabhupada, of course, has very nicely explained this verse. The basic point being that we live in a big universe. Well, relatively speaking, it's big. And there are all kinds of higher pleasures. So if you think about these higher pleasures, which are rejected here, um, not to speak of the trivial, pathetic little pleasures we seek. I mean, if you think of, what we call or our sense gratification, it's absurdly trivial. So if we are knocked over just by, you know, the pleasures of Buloka, what are you going to do with the pleasures of the higher planets? There's no way in the world you're going to walk away from them. So the good thing about these verses is that, okay, first of all, it explains philosophy, and secondly, we should compare these amazing destinations where the men are all really good looking, better than Lake Wobegon. The men are always, or the men are, and the women are all very beautiful, and they live a long period of time. It's not that you fall in love, and maybe you marry the person, then a short time later, you're looking for cemetery plots. So, so even these higher planets are not real happiness. Not to speak of the pathetic little things we call pleasure down here. That's the real point. So, any questions on these points? Yes, Leela Devi Dasi.
Um, if someone leaves the mind and the senses behind, what's taking up those functions?
Well, the soul is not just a composite being. Like we have different organs, different limbs. We are, well, not we, that's, I mean, but the bodies we have now are just these machines with so many moving parts, so many cells, and then you have mind intelligence. So it's this composite thing. But in the spiritual world, the good news is you are your body. You can't go up to someone in the spiritual world and say, you're not your body, because they are their bodies, isn't it? I mean, it's really be nice to go somewhere where you are your body.
They cannot read all Srimad Bhagavatam, only some parts. The spiritual.
So, so if you think about that, it's just a complete whole. It's not a composite made up of all kinds of parts, and therefore the function of mind and intelligence is also not a separate part. In other words, the soul is not divided into parts. It's just one whole thing. And so the soul, as soul, can think and reason and feel.
Thanks.
Well, that solves that
Yeah.
old mystery. Yes.
Just a funny question, Jay Dave. Why do you want to be heavier than the heaviest?
Maybe squash someone you don't like. Yeah, why would you want to be heavier than that? Anyone here have an idea of why they personally would like to be heavier than the heaviest?
Yeah, like you said, destroy an airplane.
Yeah, or to be unmovable. If you're heavier than the heaviest, no one can push you, no one can move you.
Can be useful sometimes.
These are the original mutants. It's funny because they have these movies. What?
Transformers.
Yeah, they have these movies about mutants and these transformers, but the original people that have these powers are the great yogis, or the devas, or the assertive. That's why all these movies appeal to people because they're based on reality.
So, and as Prabhupada is saying here, and this was written in the 60s, uh, that we can travel by mechanical vehicles to other planets.
It was post Sputnik.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and there was always a dream when we were kids. They didn't have the technology, but science fiction was a very popular genre.
Yeah.
So here it says that if the yogi cannot have perfection, then carries within the mind and senses. So it doesn't carry the intelligence, for example, the buddhi. And what about memory?
Where is that in the purport?
No, because
The verse. Let me see.
manasa indriya. So
Yeah, but it doesn't mean the buoy doesn't go. These are because it's talking about sense gratification. So it mentions the faculties that are necessary for sense gratification. Obviously, in a higher planet, people reason, they have intelligence. So
yeah, that's not the question. I mean, it's taking ease of that moment, senses and mind. So it's going to have the same, assets. When you reincarnate, you get.
well, not really, because for example, as they say in this world, something becomes a new normal. So let's say you live in a dirty area, an ugly area, and then you go to some beautiful place, that becomes the new normal. The mind adapts, the mind is elastic, it can adapt to changing circumstances.
Doesn't the mind and the senses, to even achieve this, has to already be of a certain level of purification? So is it really that bad that if you've gotten to this level, um, how could it be as bad as it is now?
I mean, the higher world?
Yeah, well, yeah, we started off by saying, why would you want to take your diseases with you? But if you're at this level where you can actually perform this, you're kind of already at an elevated level with your mind.
But it's not elevated compared to the spiritual world. It's elevated compared to this world. It's like I remember when I was GBC of Florida in the early '80s. Brahmatirtha was there, and I remember one point I wanted to get away right. I was thinking of getting renting a little house in Orlando, and because I've been living in ashrams, for so long, it seemed like a really nice thing. Of course, Brahmatirtha also arranged a manufactured house for me, which was nice. But I remember in those days that little house. It was a nice house, a sort of new house in a little neighborhood in Orlando. It seemed like that'd be really nice. But now, because you know Christians give me more facility, that particular neighborhood, that particular house wouldn't really be a place that I think I would feel comfortable working. So if you think different periods in your life, when you're a college student, you live in some very precarious situations, and you share rooms, you share apartments, isn't it? When you're a college student, it can be very, but you don't notice it. But then you get older, you couldn't go back and live that way.
Hmm.
I mean, you couldn't live the way you did in Rochester.
Yeah, no, I was talking to somebody yesterday, to Radhika Prasad. So when I first went to India, the austerity I had to live was like was unreal. People were training me. I was replacing some teachers. How they lived, I thought, boy, if I ever live like that, I'm out of here. And when I got to my location, it was nothing like they had said. It was much worse. But it didn't bother me.
Because you were meant to meet Prabhupada, so Krishna kept you going.
Yeah, 22, you don't care so much.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, when you're young.
Yeah, it was. That's true. And I was meant to meet him. And now I think it's very difficult. So
You couldn't go back to
no, I couldn't. Um, uh, so to think that, well, I would go to another planet and take my mind with me. It's just,
Well, it doesn't mean you take the mentality with you.
yeah.
It doesn't mean you take the mentality you have now. It's just we're talking about a faculty. It's just a faculty.
Oh,
And obviously the mind is shaped by the circumstances. It's just a faculty which has the ability to function in different environments in the universe. But if you, for example, in this world, first of all, you can't go to those higher planets if you're just like a gross sense gratifier. If you're just a really degraded person, uh, sex and drugs and everything. First of all, you're not going to go to those higher planets. So even to go there, you have to have a controlled mind, and you have to be, some type of practitioner. So therefore, people with degraded minds wouldn't go there anyway. And if you go there you have to have a mind which has followed principles, which has been disciplined, but wants to enjoy the material world in sort of a disciplined way. And so therefore, that mind just needs new content when it gets to the higher planets. So, no other questions? We'll stop here. See you, Prabhupada. Ki Jai.